Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. Today we're going to be talking about positive discipline versus punishment. My name is Aunty Damilola and I welcome you to this session. It promises to be a good one because it's something a lot of us would really want to have a clear understanding, about, so as to know when to use them and how to go about using them. As regards these children that we're talking about between the ages of 0 and 5 years, it is very, very important. All right, so if you're joining us for the very first time, you're welcome. For a better understanding of what we're doing, I would recommend that you please go and listen to the previous videos we have recorded to better understand what we're doing and get along with us. But I can tell you for free that you're going to enjoy every bit of it. Once again, positive discipline versus punishment. So, many of us grew up with believing that fear creates obedience. When you scare the child and you say, do this, that child will fall in line and they will do that thing quickly. Some of us believe that when you shout at the child, you're showing authority, you know, immediately there will be some form of, falling in line. That punishment also is the fastest way to, correct behavior. Some of us grew up with all of this. And that's the reality. I don't know if you resonate with this, but as caregivers and as parents, we need to pause and just ask ourselves some questions. And these questions have to do with these children. Are we simply trying to stop that behavior that you want to punish? Or are you trying to raise a healthy, responsible, set of children for the future? We need to ask this. We are laying foundation. And so we're not just looking at where we're starting, we're looking at where we're going. And so for this reason, we have to be careful. We have to find a way of balancing whatever we want to do with these children. So as we go on, we're going to find out what, positive discipline actually is, or what it means, and what punishment means. So in today's video, we will be looking at the difference between, punishment and positive discipline. We must understand that there's a big difference between punishment and discipline, okay? There are differences. Punishment, focuses on control, okay? Positive discipline focuses on teaching. I'll expatiate on this. Punishment, for example, when you say, how do I make this child suffer for what he did? That's punishment. You want to punish somebody, make him suffer or her suffer for what that child did. That is punishment. But positive discipline would do something like, how can I help this child grow and do the same thing he or she has done in a better way? That is the difference. Can you see the difference? The first one is to inflict pain. The second one is to show you how not to do what you did that called for someone to say, let me punish you. So for us, looking at children within this age group, they are still learning. Emotionally, they are trying to learn how to regulate, to communicate. They are trying to learn how to, control their impulses and understand consequences of their actions. They don't know all of this as at now. They are learning because, again, remember, the brain is still growing. So how we respond to whatever any child does, how we respond to their actions when we say we want to either discipline them or we want to punish them, it matters. And this is what our focus should be. So now let's first understand what punishment usually produces and what positive discipline actually tries to do. How to do this is by understanding the goal of positive discipline. Positive discipline is teaching that child, first understanding why that child put up that act, one. Two, trying also to help that child learn how to act the next time without doing wrong, going about it in the wrong way. That is the positive discipline. So we want to look at the goals of each. So I will do this by just letting us into something we're familiar with. So your child does something wrong, okay? And your first instinct is what? To correct it immediately. Is that not so? Do you resonate with this? I do. Okay. So in doing this, you may raise your voice. You may give the child punishment straight off. Face that corner. Go to the naughty corner. Maybe you've given it a name and the child understands that. You may also just want to stop that act, that thing that the child did. You just want to stop it. So it could come in different ways depending on you, depending on me. The way I react is different from the way you will react. But the most important thing is, what is your intention? What are you aiming at? What is your goal? What do you intend to achieve by doing just that? And this act of yours, I'm not judging you, please. It's understandable. It's understandable. But we're learning what to do. What we are doing before that is not right. We're learning how to correct them and help these children instead. So the question again that I would want you to ask yourself, and I am asking myself, is when I punish that child for doing that wrong, what exactly am I aiming at? That punishment, what does it do? Does it stop the behavior alone? Or is there any other thing it does, to the child? You have punished the child. The child, there was no discussion, nothing. You just punish the child and you say what you did is wrong. And the child heard what I did was wrong. So face that corner, that naughty corner. Keep him there for 2 minutes. And then he goes, what has he learned? What has she learned? Nothing. Nothing. That is punishment. So for that 2 minutes, you have prevented the child from doing the things he or she likes, running around, jumping up and down, playing with a toy. But after the 2 minutes, you say, okay, you can go. Nothing is done, in terms of achievement. But in the case of positive discipline, and this is where, again, we see a shift, okay? You intentionally, deliberately now try to find out, understand why that child did what he or she did. Then you look at, okay, what better way? How can I better guide this child to do the same thing, but in another way? That is the difference, and that is the shift. That is what you and I should look out for. That is what we should do, because then that child is learning something. So it might be you sit the child down and you have a discussion. Why did you do this? You throw your questions again. And from your questions, you're able to get to why this was done. It might be that the child saw somebody did the same thing or similar thing in school, and he came home to practice it. And you are seeing it. Maybe the teacher didn't see it in school, but you are seeing it and you're wondering, why should this happen? But rather than punish, you took time to understand, and that is why you are getting that story. What you have gained there again would be that you have something to tell the teacher way back in school. You see, collaboration. Remember, both of you are, taking care of this same child. You are doing this at home, but this is what you discover, and it's strange to you. And so you want to deal with it once and for all. But you want to deal with it in a way that the child will know that you don't do this. This is how you go about it the next time. But then you get to school and you tell the teacher, this is what happened at home. The teacher obviously did not know. Would, look out for that. Maybe not necessarily over your child because you've, taking care of that, but over other children. You see, this is why we need to learn from each other, and it is important. So positive discipline is not about completely ignoring, that behavior. Positive discipline does not ignore that behavior. What it does, it tries to understand it and then move forward to guiding the child to doing the right thing, to acting the proper way. Okay, so let's look at a few things. Let's look at what this looks like in real life, right? Let's look at a few situations. So instead of saying, for example, to a child, Don't do that, okay? You can guide the child by, that's a child that maybe is fond of hitting, beating another pair of his or siblings or something. You can say, don't, instead of saying, what we normally would say is, don't do that, stop it, okay? Or you can say, these hands, they're not meant for you to be beating any other person. You can say, you can use these hands to clap. You can use these hands, to draw or carry something. Just make them see positive things they can use their hands to do, just as against hitting. And let them know when you use your hand to hit, it hurts the other person. And you can ask the question, do you want me to tell your sibling to hit you back? You will see them automatically saying no, because they know it will hurt. So you tell them, then don't do that, okay? You can use your hand to hold your sibling and hug. Say something, that is positive to them, and they would adhere. You can also shift from punishing alone to teaching the child, what you want that child to do, right? That child has done something wrong, and you in your mind you want to punish. But rather than punish, now that we know that punishment just inflicts pain and does not teach anything, you can think about what can you tell the child, teach the child to do in place of what he or she has done. And that will not, warrant anyone to want to say, I'll punish you. That is what you should do. So you, in doing all of this, you must learn to stay calm. You must learn to be consistent at what you're doing with these children. And it is important for us to set boundaries. When we set boundaries, we are telling the children, these are allowed, these kind of things are not allowed. And don't just give them, rules like that. Explain to them why they are allowed, why they are not allowed. Remember, they're learning. Remember, they're learning. We must bear this in mind. And because, discipline is not about control. It's not about just controlling them. That is not what it is. It is about teaching them, how much time does this take? It takes just a very short time, to help these children learn this. And once they learn it, they turn out better. Now let's go to our reflection. So think about how you usually respond when your child does something wrong. How do you usually respond? What do you usually do? Do you just only stop, the behavior and not teach anything? If that is what you've been doing, not a problem. Not a problem. You have learned today that you can go a step further. You understand? Don't punish, positively discipline. That means you understand why they act in the first place. Then you guide as to how this same act can be carried out without doing wrong. It can be done. So just step by step, tell that child, that's what we have learned, and that is what you should practice. Your call to action. This week, try this out. When correcting your child, don't stop at no. Show them why or what to do instead. Don't just say no. Don't just say stop. Show them and tell them to repeat what you just shown them, because that is the only way they can learn. So when you show it to them, step aside, watch them do the same thing. You have not inflicted any pain on that child. All you have done is taking time out to listen and understand why that child acted that way, okay? And then you show the child how best this same act can be carried out. And the child is learning. You are showing them they're doing it, and you're saying, well done. Remember to reward them by saying, well done, thank you, to whatever it is they do. This will help them keep going. We have come to the end of today's lesson. It's a lesson, isn't it? I called it a lesson. It's actually a session that we're doing, but I have learned one or two things, and I believe you have too. So I want you to please like, share, and subscribe. Hit your notification button if you have not done so, to expect to see me when next I come online. I appreciate you, and please share this with your friends and bring them on board. But please don't just view, subscribe. Thank you. See you in my next video.